Demand-Driven Institute is the global authority on demand-driven education, training, certification, and compliance.
Hello, so good morning, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here to present you the true story of a demand-driven journey. I hope you are all well awake. If not, it's the right timing, you know? Open your ears, open your eyes, and we will tell you about the true story. Okay, so Biomérieux. I'm sure nobody knows about Biomérieux. Most of you are using products from Biomérieux, but you don't know it. So we are specialized in diagnostic, in vitro diagnostic. Okay, and so what? What is behind in vitro diagnostic? So that's all the analyses that are performed at hospital level or in small laboratories, where they can find some disease like HIV, hepatitis, or some sepsis issues. So some of the products are quite needed in emergencies when you are at the hospital and we need to find why you are sick. Some others are not kind of routine products. So we are implemented worldwide. We are 10,000 people in the world, and you've got all the figures you need here. We've got two kinds of products. We always mention the example of the Nespresso machine. You've got the machine and you've got the coffee. Biomérieux is quite the same. You've got the instruments that are here, and you've got the reagents that you use to detect the different disease. I am working on the equipment and spare parts. So we are very small in the Biomérieux world. It's only 20% of the revenue, but we are really complex because we are speaking about roughly 60% of the part numbers. It's around 14,000 part numbers. And we're speaking about 45% of the inventory, which is quite huge, knowing that we represent only 20% of the revenue. So keep in mind that we are very small in the Biomérieux environment, but very complex, because we'll come back later in the presentation. This is our organization for the equipment and spare parts. So we've got 4 different manufacturing sites. One of them is in Italy, and that's the one concerned by the demand-driven. We've got two other ones in the US, one in France, and we deliver our products worldwide in around 150 countries. And what is specific to Biomérieux is these 450 FACs, that's technicians, system engineers, that are going all over the places to replace some parts when there are some failure in the instruments. So they are going in all hospitals or laboratories to replace products, doing some maintenance. That's why we need so many spare parts. So they are running all over the places. I had to do it. So the true story, we will focus mainly on the change management we had to implement to run this demand-driven journey. So first, we started to choose to change. Why did we change? What did we decide to implement DDMRP, or demand-driven? Then we had to prepare ourselves to this change. Then we implemented the change, and now we have to make sure that this is sustainable and that demand-driven is going to continue working well at Biomérieux. So to do that, we were not alone. Biomérieux alone was not able to implement such a new process, such a demand-driven project. So we've been supported by our colleagues from a long time ago, Sitwell, so a consultant who helped us to develop this long journey through demand-driven. So Anaïs is with us, and she will explain you.
Hello, everyone. Working, yeah. I'm very happy to be here with you. I'm a senior manager in Sitwell, and I've had the honor of working with Sonia for the last 3 years. So it's very good because she knows everything about me. If you want a cranky story, tell her. But the good thing is I know everything about her. And I've got lovely pictures of her in the airport, very late at night, wondering why she's here in the middle of air personnel strikes in France and Italy just to make demand-driven work. but finally we did it. So that's why we say it's a true story we're gonna tell you. In C12, we work collaboration and we work change management. And we want to tell you how behind the very good results brought by demand-driven, there is a real mindset change and a lot of hurdles. And so Sonia will bring you through all these hurdles. So in C12, we started working with Biomérieux in 2014, 2015 for equipment and spares. And they asked us, okay, what should we do to improve our service level? As we've very strongly change management oriented, we did a worldwide diagnosis, bringing in together the different plants, the different commercial people, marketing people, quality people, and making sure we agree on the diagnosis. 2015, we already knew about demand-driven because we are a long-time FAPIX associate, and we had already undergone some transformation for Louis Vuitton, for Eramet. So we had that in mind. But Biomérieux did not yet. So all this work together on the diagnosis gave some results. I will just see if Sonia remember the results of the diagnosis.
Maybe some of them. Okay, so why did we go for demand-driven, for equipment and spare parts? So we separate usually equipment and spare parts because there are two kinds of products that are managed differently. On the equipment, despite all the efforts and all the energies we were trying to put in getting some demand coming from the countries, our forecast accuracy was just 50%, so a lot of energy for no good results. And we've got planned, as I said, we ship products in around 150 countries, so trying to get a forecast coming from these products, knowing that we represent only 20% of the revenue, I let you imagine the number of equipment that we are selling per country. Sometimes it's only 3 per year. So getting a forecast on this kind of products is just impossible. For the spare parts, so we had no forecast. It's just impossible for us to forecast the spare parts. We have no link with the equipment install base, which should be something interesting to get the volume of maintenance that we have to do and to define the number of spare parts we need. We've got a lot of spare parts where the average daily usage is less than 1 per day, or even less than 1 per year, sometimes. And we've got plenty of shortages. We've got roughly 5,000 references on spare parts, and a lot of changes coming in because of obsolescence, because of new regulations, because of field actions that have to be implemented on the field, for which we had roughly no information, and we are not able to anticipate the demand for this kind of spare parts. And then the third diagnostic was the SNOP process, where we were a little bit alone, managing it within the global supply chain team, and with roughly no collaboration with the manufacturing sites, and at the end, an SNOP process which was not working well.
Yeah, the manufacturing plants were managed on standard costs, are still, but with a budget. So they defined a budget once a year, leveled it over 12 months, and worked with that, which explains part of the job. So that was the setup at the beginning. So the first thing we did was not actually going to demand-driven, even if with this variability it seemed logical to go there, but to be able to go to demand-driven, some have said it earlier in these days, you have to have a precise view of the demand. So the first thing we did was work on the SNOP and the demand process, making sure that the collaboration with commercial people and with marketing people allowed you to have all the information about upcoming tenders for new hospitals that would make a peak, or for maintenance, all the regulatory changes, etc., creating the links in the supply chain to go get the demand. So it took some months.
It took some months, and finally we got implemented this new SNOP transformation, which allowed us to have better relationship and better communication with the manufacturing site, which was key as well before starting the demand-driven journey. So we started the demand-driven journey by what Anaïs explained. We started with SNOP transformation, and then we really started on demand-driven. So in October 2017, we launched the first, we did the kickoff meeting of the demand-driven project. To do that, we had a wonderful game, the DD Factory. The idea behind that was to make sure that the people clearly understood what is behind demand-driven, especially the top management, which was not so sure about what was behind this new concept of demand-driven. So DD was really a good game to make them understand what is behind the concept. We did some training, demand-driven planners, and we had the first DDOM workshop where we started to define where the buffers would be located, the level of the buffers, and so on. We had other workshops in November. December, we worked mainly on the tool preparation. And after 3 or 4 months, let's say, we kicked off in January 2018 with a tool which was ready to support us. So we decided to work with B2Ys. So in only 3 months' time, they were able to define and to put in place a structure for us. And we started the 15th of January. Then everything was okay. In February 2018, we did some more DDWorks training at the manufacturing site level. And in April, there was an audit to define whether we were going the right way or not. And in June, we decided to close this first implementation, and we had the go for future rollout. But maybe we did not mention is that the rollout that we kicked off in January was for 2 brands of products.
Yeah, we'll say it.
We'll say it later.
Okay, so that's just the overview of the journey. We'll get into more details afterwards. Here, it's the example of the DDOM that has been implemented. We don't want you to know it by heart. We just want you to get a feel of the things. On the left, you've got the different steps of the flow. All the green ones are in the manufacturing site, and the blue one below is distribution, is corporate supply chain. What's important, it's manufacturing is under a CEO, well, a COO, which is not the same as a supply chain. It's a project that has been led and brought by supply chain, but it's not only DDMRP and it's not only supply chain. Here you see we've put indeed entry and distribution buffers, but we've been deep into the Gemba, deep into the floor to change the way the manufacturing works. So we've put sub-assembly buffers, so we dived into the bill of material. Here you've got 8 levels of bill of material, you've got 600 parts per instrument. So we dived into the BOM, we put stock buffers, but we also implemented entry control point and shipment control points to regulate and to have a constant work in progress. So that's what we did with a special treatment for spare parts, obviously, because it's not the same flow. We just wanted to show you that it's a project that embedded a lot of manufacturing management. It's not only supply chain, even if Sonia here is supply chain. And what's good also, you can see that before pilots, it was a lean site. So we had the opportunity to build on this pooled flow culture. That's very good for a first implementation. We just have to get rid of some Kanban to tell them, look, it will be updated automatically, and they were really happy. So, on for the setup.
So we implemented that, and we got these results. And we mentioned, just as everyone,
boring.
You all know these results. They were shared yesterday during all your presentation. Good ODIF, lead time reduction, cash-to-cash cycle moving from 2 to 5, and inventory decreasing by 25%. So you've got here our on-time in full indicator. We started here. It improved. So nothing new around this.
Huge results, but okay.
Good results. We are quite happy about it, but it's nothing new. This one we discussed, we heard a lot as well yesterday about it. We are now speaking the same language with the manufacturing site. We are working with the same tool, we are having the same data, we are sharing everything, so it's much easier. They know who is the customer now. In the past, the customer was a little bit far from them, but now the customer is really in the heart of their process, in the heart of the supply chain, which is really good.
The site manager, or the manufacturing site manager, actually said at the last steering committee, it's huge, now I know what I'm working for. Before I was working to reach my budget, and now I'm working to serve a customer. Everyone around the table thought I had coached him into saying it. No, he said it himself.
You paid it. You paid it. And same way of working. So through the site, everybody's using the same tool. Everybody's using same data for quality, incoming controls. Sales administration have been included as well. So it's really something which brings some kind of structure in the way the data are managed. Go quick. So, okay, you all know that picture? So we had good results. We shared with you the quantitative results with decrease of the inventory. We shared with you the qualitative results with who are all speaking the same language. So it looks like this nice duck is really quiet, you know, looking at the blue sky, looking at the sun shining. But at the end, you all know that it's not working like this, and that you had to parallel like crazy to make sure that everything was okay. So that's one of the reasons why we're telling you the true story of demand-driven, because it's not only good results, it is something happening behind. So just to remind you that we are going to speak about these different steps in the change management that we implemented to make it work. So we decided to change, but as Anaïs mentioned, there was a little bit of hurdles when we decided to change. There was an APS coming in on the reagent side, which represent 80% of the revenue.
Millions of investment.
Millions on investment, for sure. So how can we fight against that when we represent only 20% of the revenue, a huge complexity, and maybe nobody wants to hear about us? So how do we make sure that we convince that we have to go for demand-driven? That was easy. We started with an army of Lego, with DDBricks, training the people, trying to manage, to commit our management team to go to demand-driven, to convince them that demand-driven is the good solution. And really, these Lego are superheroes, you know. They are really able to convince everyone that this is a good solution.
So we're joking with the army of Lego, but the point is not Lego or not Lego. The point is you have to create passion. You have to create willingness to go. And the best way to do it is experience, is having fun. So you chose the right sponsors, the head of manufacturing, the head of supply chain, the one who were a little reticent to go there. Oh, my OEE, etc. And you pushed them through an experience where you demonstrate how it works, and they have fun learning it. And then you create a huge momentum, and people willing to see more and to check it and to test it, and that's great, and that's exactly what you need when you want to start a first change, because you need the little shove to the right path. So do everything you can to take your upper management with you. For Biomérieux, Lego was great. For some other companies, Carol is the solution. You take someone with passion, you take someone who is deeply convinced, and you push them in front of the management, and everyone wants to follow. So that's the first part. Make people follow you. The army of Lego is great, like that. It's great, people like it, but Carol, but anyone with a big experience and a deep passion can work too. And luckily, you're in Lyon.
And luckily, we are in Lyon, and we had the chance to have the demand-driven world in 2017, where some of our top managers went to have some benchmark with other companies and learned more about demand-driven, which was, again, a great experience and a great opportunity to convince them about demand-driven.
Yeah, because the army of Lego, it's nice, but the true great result, it's not only good result, the great results experienced by everyone else is such an argument, such a good thing. So thanks, demand-driven world.
So thanks to that, we opened our chakras, to understand demand-driven, and that was really the goal of Sitwell and Anais, to make us open-minded to demand-driven. So that's really what we needed and what she expressed.
Yeah, it's a long decision time, because you maybe have not seen, but we started in 2015. Sonia here was trained in November 2015. I was already pushing, advocating for demand-driven with all the passion I could. But then people need to get convinced, and it took 1.5 years before we could actually start. So, and that's the usual way people do it, in France anyway. So if you want to go and you don't have all your upper management, yeah, it can take 1 year, and that's normal. So plan for it. So prepare to change. You've got the go live, that's great, let's go. You have to train the people. They have to understand the problem, and they have to understand the solution. So if you don't want to train everyone and to have everyone certified, why certified? Because to pass, they have to study and they have to understand, especially with the new exams, which really need you to understand. So if you don't want your people to understand, don't train them, but don't come to me. Huh? We will not work with people who don't want their people to work to understand. So train them. Second point, impactful scope. We chose which lines?
The 2 major lines that are manufactured in the Firenze site. So that's the 2 major line of instruments plus the spare parts associated. So you've got the figures mentioned here. So it's only 2 instruments, but it's a lot of raw materials and a lot of spare parts. So 140 spare parts. That's really the highest furnace that we've got at this manufacturing site.
So it shows the biggest product line.
Yeah.
And which shows also a complicated one, because you've got lots of spares, you've got a high seasonality. It's not the case on all instruments. On these, you've got seasonality and demand-driven, pull flow, how to handle seasonality. We reached for the critical cases.
And the get to know, so we had to learn about it. So we started to define how to size a buffer, which kind of buffer we have to implement, which kind of ADU, which ADU we use to define our buffers, and then the spike detection, so all what we do in a DDOM workshop, the horizon for the spike detection, which level we put the spike, and so on. So this has been done within the team with the support of Sitwell. So we clearly understand what are behind all the figures that we will use in the future.
Manufacturing site, culture.
Yeah, is it really a plus? So yeah, we went for a manufacturing site in Europe with the same culture, or a culture which is not too far from ours, because we thought it would be easier to implement demand-driven, and that we would understand each other much better than within a site located in the US.
On the attention points, the one thing is make your life easier, which we not necessarily did, but make your life easier and choose a manufacturing site where supply chain is strong and efficient, and they get it. It's really, really much easier. You'll see the hurdles behind.
Yeah, we'll come back on it. Okay, so then we started to implement the change. We did the go live, we started to implement. So I'm sure you all know this screen. Who's working on SAP in the room?
Raise your hands.
Yeah?
Who knows the screen?
Everybody? Who knows that? Okay.
What is it? How is it called?
So this is the screen we are all using in SAP when we are doing MRP. So this is the very famous MD04. So this was our worst enemy. This is not me.
Yes, it is, definitely.
But this is really our worst enemy because each time you are looking at MD04, you compare it with demand-driven results, and it's not the same. And you've got a lot of questions. Should I follow the recommendation from B2Is? Should I look at SAP, place my orders based on SAP? So this is a learning curve. And this MD04 really has to be killed. So I had to really constantly monitor, follow the people, ensure them that they had to follow B2Ys and the recommendation coming from the demand-driven process and not looking at SAP anymore. SAP is down. So make sure that you close SAP when you start working on demand-driven. It will make your life much easier.
But even more than that, it means the lovely lady here, Sonia, she needs to have a constant will to support her team, to understand, to reassure them. It's natural for them to be reassured. They know that if they don't order the right thing, or if there's a shortage, they will get beaten by Sonia. But not only. So they want to be sure they are doing things right. It's important to have a project lead which is convinced and which is showing the path to the rest of the company. And that's really, really, really important. And so here she's with the machine guns, but
no.
but indeed, in fact, it's more of a motherly thing. Okay, this is for planners, the MD04, switching mode, be with them. Then you have to implement tactics for everyone, for manufacturing, for quality, for engineering, for controlling, because they want the OE, they are scared. Make sure you tackle their problems before going, while going to demand-driven. So, for instance, release the pressure on standard costs. For instance, show them that they got a good prioritization of their QC, etc. And then you got allies to go further. And that was some work. Okay, this is the most important slide. So if you have to wake up now. This is the learning curve. What we want really to tell you with Sonia today is this is what you will live. You will go through that every time you do such an implementation. So you see at the beginning it works, you're happy, you've got a consultant showing passion, simulation, it will be good. Then you have to prepare the data, that's less funny. Okay. Then it works. Go live, great results. Celebration, it works, everyone is happy. Then it keeps on working, but you don't really know why. And then something happens. What happens?
So what happens in May? One of my planners came to see me and told me, wow, we've got an issue. The orders that should be prepared today to be shipped to our customers tomorrow or the day after, we cannot prepare them. We don't have any more inventory. No more inventory. What's the issue? That's a panic, you know? So we started to look at our figures. Okay, we have no more inventory available for the orders we've got in the pipe. We looked at B2Is. Everything was green on our side. The net flow equation was green. I said, okay, everything is okay on our side. Then what's going on the dark side? What's going on at the manufacturing side? And I had no information around it. So we asked the manufacturing side, and they told me, oh yeah, we are in red. Our execution alerts are red. But that's the first day they are red. And we said, yeah, but we have no more inventory. Why didn't you produce? They said, hey, we did not produce because we were not in the red. we were in yellow, or we were in green, so we did not start production. We were waiting to be in the red to start manufacturing. And it was like a kind of earthquake mixed with a tsunami, you know.
And there was a data problem too. It's not only, yeah.
So it was not only that. We had some issues as well with some of the data that we were loading into the tool with the demand. So we had some very quick correction about the data that were in the tool. We went 2 weeks in Firenze to help them going back on track in terms of manufacturing, helping them managing their priorities. And at the end, within 2 weeks' time, they were able to recover what was missing in terms of inventory. But what the lessons learned about that is that thanks to demand-driven, we had no issue with raw materials. Everything was there, ready to be manufactured. And that's why we had the quick recovery on that.
The message here is they will have other crises, because that's how you learn. That's how you really get what's going on, because everything previous has been set up by the consultant. And that's when you get in the difficulties that you really embed everything. That's how it works. So you will get through these, and several times, but you will also get through the good points where you recover very, very quickly. So you need a tireless leader, because you will step down and you have to step up again. So for changing, for going to demand-driven, find your tireless leader. Here is Sonia. So never, never let them down and keep with them. Then you have to learn to sell to indomitable people. So you can be Carol or learn to be your own Carol and to convince people and bring your army of Lego or any game or anything, but learn to sell. And then for sustaining, be prepared. We showed you quickly what manufacturing says, what controlling says, etc. Be prepared, measure what will happen, so that you can prepare your things to say and how to tackle the most difficult changes for them. So that's all, I think. Yeah, very important. Your project leads. The project manager must be a solver, must be solution-oriented. Don't go with a trainee. No, trainee, not good. Too much of a mindset change. Okay, I think we're good.
So I think we're done. Here are the next steps. So next year, we'll continue to implement new brands at Firenze level. They are even pushing us to implement them before the end of the year, because they can see the benefit of demand-driven. So this is our roadmap for the coming years. Just as a conclusion, we achieved, as all of you, some great results in terms of inventory decrease and so on. What we wanted to share with you is really this long journey and what has to be done behind demand-driven and what has to be done before we achieve these great results. So hope we convinced you, and we shared with you our great experience in the best manner we could.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.